Unsecured from the skiff with your host, Big Poppy. Hey, lots of stuff to talk about, lots of stuff going on in the world, but I certainly couldn't think of a better opportunity than to open this stuff up with a very important topic: veteran disability and the insider threat. Look, there are veterans all over this country, from the West Coast to the East, who deserve quality health care. They deserve access to quality health care. And they deserve everything that comes with the care, no different than what they received while they served. All right. Now, recently, the Federal Registry just put out a notice that gives any and everybody, Disabled American Veterans Society, veterans of foreign wars, you, me, anybody, 60 days to respond to the proposed reduction in percentages based on diagnostic models of methodology and testing that has changed as it relates to PTSD. They're taking another look at CPAP. And the list goes on and on. So I encourage you to get into the Federal Register, take a look at what's going on, and then make decisions for yourself. The VA also pushed out a veteran community care eligibility listing, and that came out in 2019, and it talked about key aspects of community care and eligibility. Some of the things that they looked at were veteran needs, a service not available at a VA medical facility. So how do you get referred? How do you move out into the civilian realm and get that access to care? States and territories that don't have full service, grandfather provisions back in 2019 were talked about. When the VA can't furnish care within certain designated access standards, best medical interest, right? And a couple other things as well. Those were the big six, though, that came out. So why is this important? So I retired in 2018. I moved out of the country for a little bit before I came back. I certainly couldn't get the Western standard of care that I thought I deserved. So we moved back. Me and my family moved back to Florida, which is where we actually reside now. Since my return and my dealings with the Veteran Administration, let me share a story with you, a personal story. So back in 2019-ish, 20, I was having chest pain. I do take high blood pressure medicine. During that bout of chest pain, I got on a flight. I went to Miami. I went into the emergency room. Long story short, I was diagnosed with a GERD, esophageal reflux. And I really had no issues with that. But while I was in the emergency room, they asked questions such as drinking, right? Or smoking, or whatever the case may be. I'm pretty honest about the things that I've went through in the military. And I try not to hide any issues that could affect my well-being. At the time, I told the provider there that I was probably drinking a bottle of Jameson a day. I chew Skoal tobacco, drink coffee. I really wasn't exercising the way I should. Got a little heavier, on and on and on. Not one time did that healthcare provider ask me if I needed any help for my drinking. Not one time did that healthcare provider ask me what was driving me to drink. And then obviously the tobacco, smoking cessation, just an opportunity to offer it and throw it out there. I went back to the hotel that night, sat down, was talking to my wife, and noticed that the doctor working the emergency room was a doctor of osteopathic medicine. Not an internist, not a board certified emergency room doc, a doctor of osteopathic medicine. Bones, right? Bones. So I got a little upset. You go about your business. I finally got moved and settled into the U.S. In Florida, enrolled for my health care with the VA that is closest to me. And I also picked up a civilian doctor because there's certainly things that the civilian doctors do better than the VA, and the VA does better than civilian doctors. So you need to have a balance, right? So I've been here about 3 years now. I went through approximately, I think, 4 providers in less than 3 years. Over the course of that time, obviously, you get frustrated with continuity of care, which would fall under one of the VA's goals, is to provide quality access to care and consistent care. You can't get consistent care when you have multiple providers who are consistently changing your medications, changing how they view something. Some are more herbal oriented, some are more aggressive with their therapy, and that's certainly not good for me as a veteran. So I also have psychiatric issues. So I go see a psychiatrist at the VA where I'm at. I'm in the room about 10 minutes. His phone rings. He actually answers his phones, and they begin to have a conversation, him and whoever was on the other end, about flowers that need to be delivered to a restaurant because it's his anniversary and he wants to make sure all that stuff goes well. So to say I was a little bit upset would probably be the floor. I was extremely irate because that's not quality healthcare. And now you could give two shits about me. So I let him know how I feel. I told him we were done. I got up and I walked out. I also go to a social worker who has been incredible, a great therapist, therapeutic for me. But the point is, when you want to reduce changes, and now you want to add $269 billion under the FY23 funding for the VA, what I want to know is, where's that money going? How is the money being spent? What are its intended purposes? Because VA disability is important. And you have a lot of veterans who don't have access to care, who don't have access to quality care, who may have some other issues going on, whether it be alcohol, drugs, recreational drugs, things that they take just to help them get through the day. But yet we sit here and we still have 20 to 22 veterans every day committing suicide, which is way too many. We have to focus on their health and their care. As I was doing research and looking through this stuff, I also found an article that was written back on the 29th of March, and it talks about the 3,600 homeless veterans in Los Angeles. I had no idea, but there was a piece of real estate that was gifted to the VA back in the 1800s. The intent behind the entirety of the land was to build homes for veterans, right? Now the VA has leased to a private school, a ballpark, an oil well, and 54 homes to date, 54 tiny homes to date for veterans that actually live in that community. And when you talk about an insider threat, the very fabric of the insider threat to you, to me, to all the veterans that live and reside here in the United States of America is the VA itself. December 23rd, I went to dinner with my family. I had a lot of people in town that day. Went and had dinner, decided to go home, wasn't feeling very well. I got home, I felt numbness on my left side, lightheadedness, headache. I didn't want to drive because I was home by myself, so I called an ambulance, right? Ambulance. And I was diagnosed with hypertension in my late 30s, right? So the ambulance comes and picks me up. Upon entry to the house, the fire department took my blood pressure. It was 184 over 110, right? Not good, not good. So they took me to the emergency room. I was admitted overnight for observation. They really couldn't figure out what was going on. I had a boatload of tests done. on and on and on and on. And then I get a bill for an ambulance for $1,000. Now, mind you, diagnosed with hypertension. It is on my list of benefits that are claimed. It is service connected, but it's 0%. But I can still get care for it from the VA. So I'm really confused as to why the VA disapproved an ambulance for something that clearly could have been related to my hypertension. Could have been other things as well, but it was clearly related to hypertension. So for me, that's a huge failure. During this time, I also asked to get a referral and be referred downtown so I can have a PCM that is consistent, that I can see each and every day if I wanted to, and they're in tune with my healthcare, as opposed to having 4 providers in less than 3 years. That's a huge problem. That doesn't meet the VA's intent. That doesn't do anything for the patient. And then I started to when I was talking to my therapist, I was expressing how this type of stuff, it really cuts to the core of who we are. Just as a VA, as an entity, who the VA is. Stop being a bureaucrat. Stop spending money on needless stuff. Take the $269.9 billion proposal and apply it to people. Okay? About 0.5% of our population volunteers to put on this uniform, to wear it pridefully, and to go make a difference in the world. Only 13% of that 1% actually retire. So about 87% of the people that put on a uniform actually never make it to retirement. And then you have the 330 million people in the US. About 6% of that are veterans, which equates to about 1.5% towards the GDP. So you want to set up in the House, you want to set up in the Senate, you want to lead the VA, you want to be on the Armed Services Committee, but you constantly want to trample on the things that you promised. I never put on a uniform and not one day ever asked for anything that you have given. You've budgeted for it. Now pay for it. That means if you have to pay more for quality healthcare providers, you'll do that. If you have to pay more for nurses to be better, you'll do that. There's countless articles that you can find all over the internet of nurses and healthcare providers killing veterans, literally killing veterans. It happened in Arkansas. I believe it happened in Michigan recently. You guys have to do better. And taking away something is not fixing the essence of your problem. Your problem is your hiring practice. Your problem is the bureaucracies that you invoke or impose on us veterans by telling us, no, you're $1. So you can't go downtown and get care, right? You're $1. And what's sad is the fact that you cannot wait until all of us die in mass. It's almost like that's what you're asking for, because you, the government who promised to take care of us, doesn't want to do anything to take care of us. And it's shameful, absolutely shameful. So we've got to get better. Healthcare, we have to have the things that we need to be successful. So just so you know, since 2017, rating schedule updates have changed 9 different body systems. I'll have to go back to the Federal Register and look at how much more this bill is looking at. I know a couple of them, but I don't know them all, so I apologize for that. But if you want to make the VA better, you need to have quality access to care, consistent quality access to care. You probably need to educate more fully outside of TAPS what it is that you provide and how the system works, instead of using us as guinea pigs to figure out how it works by bouncing us all over the place. You also need to create value and deliver value. There should be no reason that a civilian entity outside provides better care than the one that takes care of warfighters. Deliver quality and valuable health care. Be impactful. I think I read somewhere the average lifespan for a male post-retirement is like 5 to 7 years, right? 5 to 7 years. If you're impactful with our healthcare and you're serious with our healthcare, instead of us just being a bean that's generated for income through your VAs, then send us somewhere else. Send us somewhere else and pay for it. Just get rid of the VA. Take that $269.9 billion. Don't have any VA centers at all that provide health care, and let us go get the care downtown. And then you just pay the bill like you would do with somebody who got a referral for TRICARE. It's simple. Do your job. It's all we're asking for. And we got to spread awareness. These conversations need to occur. And look, I'm not going to sit here and tell you everything I say is right for everybody. There are parts of this nation that provide quality health care. I've talked to friends of mine from all over. But the majority of the VA system and the majority of the people that I talked to when I looked into this specifically, were not receiving quality care. They weren't being taken care of. And the VA's got a huge issue. You're increasing a budget, but we've had probably a 3,000% increase in veterans who receive disability, right? I mean, just huge numbers. But that doesn't change the responsibility that you have at the E-suite level, at the bureaucratic level, when it comes to governing. So I challenge the Veteran of Foreign Wars. I challenge the Disabled American Veterans Society. I challenge veterans to go look at what's happening with you as it relates to care. And if it's not what it should be, that you guys say something. Be out front, be bold, do what's right. And then more importantly, let's cut the threads off of this bureaucratic system where people get to make decisions based on the fact that you're a dollar. And that's how they look at you. And it's shameful. Let's get better clinicians. Let's get better people. Let's have more veterans a part of this solution than not. And let's have the hard conversations. So I look forward to any responses. I could go on and on, but I don't want to. I want you guys to listen. Shoot me a video back. Subscribe to my page. And we're going to talk about a lot of stuff. But I felt it important, day one, video one, to have a conversation about me and all my warfighters out there who served with me, who volunteered to make the greatest sacrifice of all. And that is defending this nation. And now we're here. We've done our job. And all we want is what we're owed. Quality health care. All right? This is Unsecured from the Skiff. My name is Big Papi. And we're going to start rolling weekly information, discussion points to gin up conversation. Again, it's not about whether I'm right or wrong. It's not about whether the care that I receive where I live is isolated, comparably speaking to where you live. But it's about us getting out in front and making a change and doing something about it, okay? So, hey, I appreciate the time. I look forward. Please, again, subscribe, share the video. Any and all veterans, okay? Republican, Democrat, whoever you are, let's have these conversations and let's do something about it. All right. Hey, I love you. Unsecured from the skiff. It's your boy Big Poppy, and we'll talk to you later. All right. Peace out.